Good morning and welcome to KidNuz. I'm Tori. Today is Friday, February 3rd, 2023. And we begin with a girls' junior varsity basketball team in Virginia canceling the rest of their season for a pretty unusual reason. It turns out that during a game last month, an assistant coach for the Churchland High School team put on a jersey and played alongside the teenage athletes, pretending to be one of them. Video clips from local TV station WAVY show Arlisha Boykins, said to be in her early 20s, blocking a shot, dribbling past a player, and driving to the basket to make a layup. The Portsmouth Public Schools said Ms. Boykins, who had been hired last August, is no longer employed there. At a meeting last week with school officials, the players, and their parents, it was agreed it would be best not to continue the season. An Arctic blast of cold air is now heading to the northeast part of the U.S., where temps could drop by 40 or 50 degrees tonight. As we reported earlier this week, the frigid weather already caused problems from Texas to Tennessee, including flight cancellations, power outages, and school closures. However, Minnesota's annual Winter Walk to School Day still went ahead on Wednesday, even though some kids in the northern part of the state woke up that morning to temperatures as low as minus 25 degrees. And according to Punxsutawney Phil, relief is not right around the corner. He saw his shadow when plucked from his hole yesterday morning, which, folklore tells us, means we're in for 6 more weeks of winter. Meanwhile, some of the earlier weather challenges in California have produced good news. The record storm over the holidays has built the state's snowpack to its highest level in 40 years, according to California's Water Resources Department. But will it be enough to pull the Golden State out of a multi-year drought? That depends on how much more rain and snow falls over the next 2 months. One Minnesota student who probably did the Winter Walk to School Day is 14-year-old Isaac Ortman. Why? Because he slept outside in his backyard in Duluth every single night for nearly 3 years straight. The Boy Scout tells the Washington Post it started as a fun challenge at his family's cabin when he was 11 during the pandemic and is now a nightly routine he doesn't expect to change anytime soon. His dad said Isaac did a lot of research to find the best equipment to keep him comfortable during the chilly months, including a waterproof hammock, a couple sleeping bags, and lots of quilts. In fact, the teen says he prefers winter snow and wind over the heat, humidity, and mosquitoes of summer. How much did the pandemic impact student learning around the world? A new study shows that, on average, kids lost the equivalent of 1/3 of a school year. And the global analysis says that many are still trying to catch up more than 2 years later. The delays in learning were worse in developing countries and students from low-income backgrounds. The research, published this week in the journal Nature Human Behavior, looks at data from 15 countries, making it the most comprehensive study yet of the classroom challenges caused by the pandemic. Suggested solutions include intensive summer programs and tutoring help for the students who are struggling the most. A fire-eating demon, a terror, and a jerk are part of a brutally honest adoption ad from a New York animal shelter describing a 26-pound French bulldog. Ralphie arrived at the Niagara SPCA last month, and staff members quickly learned he was a lot to handle, attacking vacuums, brooms, mops, basically anything that comes near his crate. The shelter's director told the Washington Post she knew they had to be upfront about Ralphie's shortcomings, admitting he's a terror in a small package, and anyone choosing to engage with him should do so at their own risk. But the unusual honesty has sparked hundreds of responses from all over the U.S. and Canada. The perfect forever home may have been found in Miami, with a woman who said she once owned another bulldog she describes as a Tasmanian devil, or as the shelter's director said, Ralphie reincarnated. That's it for KidNuz. A quick reminder that a new Noodler worksheet is now on our website in the Teacher's Lounge section. It's a fun, free way to put your own spin on some of the stories featured on our podcast last month. Now, today's quiz. An assistant JV basketball coach lost her job for doing what? Suiting up as a teenager to play in a high school game. When was the last time California's snowpack was at such a high level? 40 years ago. What has a 14-year-old from Minnesota been doing every night for nearly 3 years? Sleeping outdoors. What kind of breed is Ralphie, the difficult dog looking for a forever home? A French bulldog. In our KidNuz Kicker, apparently eating out was a popular thing to do even 5,000 years ago. Archaeologists digging in Iraq recently discovered an ancient tavern 19 inches below the surface. It had an open-air dining area along with an enclosed room that had benches, an oven, cone-shaped bowls, and even some food residue. The research is focused on getting a better understanding of ancient cities, and the scientists were excited about this discovery, one telling CNN that it gives us a more colorful sense of what life was like for the middle class back in 2700 BC. Before we go, we want to give a big KidNuz shout out to some of our terrific teachers, Miss McEwen and her Wildcats at West Vincent Elementary in Chester Springs, Pennsylvania. Miss Buggart and her Busy Bees at Grover Hill Elementary in Grover Hill, Ohio. Mrs. P and her Leopards at La Entrada Middle School in Menlo Park, California. Mrs. Morris and her Bridges students at Renner, Hawthorne, and Tiffany Ridge Schools in Kansas City, Missouri. And Mrs. Lundy and her Hornets at Horace Elementary in Horace, North Dakota. Thanks for listening. Our Week in Review quiz is now up on our website, kidnuz.org. And for those who've signed up for the KidNuz Club, check your emails for our popular weekly word search. Have a great weekend. We hope you tune in for more KidNuz Monday morning.